It's a new day for hope, healing, and happiness with Natasha Rosewood.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to It's a New Day for Hope, Healing, and Happiness. Thank you for joining us. I am your ghost. I am your host. I don't think I'm a ghost. I am your host, Natasha Rosewood, and I am a psychic medium, intuitive quantum healer, and author. And on today's show, we are asking the question, what is quantum healing anyway? And how can we heal our traumas? There are so many terms, labels for different versions of healing modalities that it can get a bit confusing. So I have invited a very special guest, Allan Green, on the show today, and he's going to be discussing with me his processes for quantum healing and everything else he does. He is a master, I have to read this one because it's a long title. He is a master past life and spiritual journey facilitator. And he and his wife, Catherine, have a thriving practice out of their healing center in Ottawa. So can we bring Allan on now and just say hi to him? Hi, Allan.
Hello. Greetings, and I celebrate your work and your passion, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much, Allan. I appreciate that. And I am just in awe of everything that you've done as well. So the name of the healing retreat is The Goddess and the Green Man, and I'm guessing you're the goddess, right?
No, she's the goddess, and I'm Allan Green, man. Yes.
Yeah, I was just kidding.
I
think we knew that.
Term, actually. Yeah.
So I know that you're out in Ottawa, so thank you for coming on so late. I hope you had a cup of coffee or something to keep you up tonight. But can you just tell us what you kind of healing practices that you and Catherine do at the Healing Centre at the moment?
Yes. We live in Ompa, northwest of Perth, Ontario, and it's near Ottawa, about an hour and a half from Ottawa. And there's a lot of milky quartz veins that go underneath the property, keep the vibration high. So the people come here and they just feel at home automatically. And what I do is I've been guiding people through their past lives and on spirit journeys for over 40 years, working with over 10,000 people. Each person does about 4 journeys each, so that equals about 40,000 individual journeys with people. I have the ability to see what people see and feel what they feel when they do a session, and they never forget it for life. The youngest I've ever worked with is 6 years old. When you're doing a past life with a child, you don't say, let's go back into your past life. They don't know what you're talking about. Say, let's go back in the time before you met your mother. We have perfect success. So during the session, you do about 3 or 4 past lives and meet your spirit guides and talk with people passed over in about a 2.5-hour session. And Catherine does Zenith Omega, which incorporates over 400 clearings, any imbalance, emotion, or disease. And she does a 5th level called light body acceleration, has over 80 clearings there. And we also work as a team to remove implants, help send lost spirits and trapped people between here and the light to the light. And we help with full and partial walk-ins and dragons and fairies in human form.
Wow. So you got everything covered. And I thought I did a lot.
Well, so, you have a massive tool chest yourself, you know.
I know, I do. But, you know, well, I could be with you on this all night, Allan, and ask you all kinds of questions. But tonight we're going to focus on quantum healing. So how do you define quantum healing? Because I've got one version. I'm sure you have another.
Well, when I asked Catherine about it, because she's the wise one of the family, I said, what do you think quantum healing is? She says, quantum healing moves out of the 3D and takes healing to a higher frequency and works with different dimensions. And then she went and researched it even more, and it says quantum healing, which is also known as quantum therapy, is a little hard to explain. By combining ideas of mind-body medicine with quantum physics, meditation, Eastern medicine, it purports that you can heal your body, mind, and spirit by shifting energy at a quantum or subatomic level.
Yeah.
Healing quantum medicine characterized by its nonlinear nature and functioning beyond closed systems offers a wealth of possibilities for healing. It introduces to the extraordinary phenomena of spontaneous recovery, sudden epiphanies, or the aha moments.
Okay. Well, that's big. I'm just going to let you know what my version is. I know we're talking the same language, just in different ways, but yours,
Yeah.
I love what she said about different dimensions. So what happened to me was during COVID, I think I got a download, and I've been doing past life regressions, as you know, for a long time, and had great success with them, been able to heal people's traumas, as you say, and just, instantly bingo bango, they're good to go with, they're over their phobias or whatever it is. So the download that I got during COVID was this voice said to me, well, you can do past life regressions and you can heal people's traumas from 500 years ago. Why can't you heal people's traumas from 20 years ago or 10 years ago or 5 years ago? So I used a very similar technique with past life regressions, but applied it to quantum healing. And I answer 3 questions. Who do you think you are? Who were you told that you are? By parents, teachers, culture, our environment. Who are you really? And then who do you wish to become? So it's a 3-hour session. The first hour, I just go through, in the conscious level, with the client, everything that's happened in their movie up until this point, especially the traumas, the good and the bad, and just get a real clear picture and have them actually look at that as well. It's kind of interesting for them to review their life in that session. Then I focus on what was great about them in their movie. Were they brave? Were they courageous? Were they victorious? Did they overcome something? What did it show about them? And just mirror that back to them and make them realize who they really are. And then ask them, who do they wish to become? And when they give me a picture of they want to live in this house with this person or do this dream job or travel the world, whatever it is, I create a kind of guided meditation with them, incorporating who they really are, new belief systems, and allow them to leave that trauma behind and then embed the new beliefs into their subconscious through the guided meditation, then ask them to play that guided meditation for 30 days afterwards. So, this is kind of just where I started with this process. So I'm anxious to talk to you and see when you say...
You're exactly right.
Okay.
It can start off like you're doing a past life, but then it's what you call spiritual psychotherapy.
Okay.
And it's very prevalent in quantum healing because it uses psychic abilities of mediumship, channeling, third eye intuition, medical intuitive, empathic awareness, and experience. The person has to believe that they can heal themselves because only you can heal you.
Exactly.
Not even Christ could heal people who want to be healed because of free will on this planet.
Right.
So I'll give you an example of spiritual psychotherapy that heals, and then I can give other ones where it heals with an energy level on a quantum level. But this lady came, or I did work with a session with a man, and he said, my wife's coming tomorrow night. I lived in London, Ontario at the time. I said, well, geez, you should have brought her along because if something miraculous happens during the session, you're there to experience it with your wife. He said, no, she wants to come on her own. Well, somehow she made up to my apartment door. I opened the door and she was absolutely radiant. She was absolutely perfect. She was a gorgeous woman and just so feminine. And all of a sudden she goes, are you Allan Green? And I went, I was in total shock. It just destroyed the whole thing of a feminine woman. I'm here to do the session with you. And this masculine voice came out. It just freaked me out. Is it okay if I go to the washroom first? Yeah, okay, fine. And so anyway, I went and in those days I would go back into the womb first to check out things and see what happened there. But we went into the womb, and then I had a inclination to say that we have to go through the birth process. Mm-hmm. So we went through the birth process, and both of us, within 30 seconds of her coming out of the womb, heard her father say, damn, it's another girl. And from that moment on, she became more masculine for her father.
It's tragic, isn't it?
So I told her, I said, you don't have to be that way. You can be this feminine, beautiful woman you are. Right. And by the end of the session, after 2 hours, her voice was back to a feminine woman.
That's fantastic, Alan. I love that story.
So that's spiritual psychotherapy there, working on that.
Well, that's what I love about the quantum. It's instantaneous almost. And yes. I know we've got a couple of guests waiting to come on and talk to us, but I just want to read, I looked up this definition of what quantum is, because people go, well, you know, it sounds kind of mystical. So the one definition is a discrete quantity of energy proportional in magnitude to the frequency of the radiation it represents. And I translate that as quantum healing requires a smaller amount of energy to achieve bigger results instantly so that the client can vibrate at a high frequency and experience joy faster. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yes. And
Okay.
I'll give you a quick example of spiritual psychotherapy and quantum healing using energy work. So when somebody is 18 years or younger, I always ask the parent to be with them. So this girl came and she sat in front of me. She said, "Look at me, Alan, I'm beautiful." I went, "Yes, you are." She was stunning. She was 18 years old. She was just clear and short hair and very physically fit. But she had this rash over her whole body. And it was really kind of freaky because it looked like it was scabs, and it looked like if you touched her, her skin would fall apart. She said,
Wow.
"Alan, I can't get a job. No boyfriend will come near me,
No.
and my life is ruined. Can you help me?" I said, "Well, I'm not God, but we'll go back and find out what happens." So we went back in a past life, and she was boiled in oil. And after they finished that, they put her beside the thing, and I knew that men had done this. So I created a scenario. I said, 4 women are coming with a blanket that's waterproof. It's got healing liquid in it that will help you heal. I didn't say it would heal her.
Oh,
It will
okay.
help you heal.
Yeah.
And they're wrapping you in. And she goes, "Oh, that feels so cool." Because when there's heat in the human body, there's physical healing. When
That's
there's
right.
coolness, there's spiritual healing. And
Right.
so she felt
Interesting.
so cool, and we went and had this cream was inside the blanket, and it wrapped inside her toes and her Achilles tendon, instep, all through her calves, all through her whole body. She said, "I feel so cool. Have I been healed?" I said, "I don't know. I just know that you did your very best. I did my very best. So we'll just leave it up to that." And sometimes I don't find up to 10 years later that a miracle's happened.
Exactly.
And yeah, and there's like 50 people that I work with that have totally healed migraine headaches they've had their whole life because it comes from a head wound in a past life.
Right.
So you go back and heal the migraine or the headache,
Absolutely.
the energy there heals
I
now.
see that.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
Go ahead.
about a week later, she calls and she says the rash is totally gone from my body except for one little part of my neck, and she's, "I can handle that."
Wow. That's
So
fantastic.
that's an example of spiritual psychotherapy and
Wow.
energy healing.
Well, that's kind of what I do. I don't have, like I say, we've all got these different names, right? So I just call
Yeah.
it quantum healing, and I use that as an umbrella term. And sometimes I find that the quantum healing leaks into a past life, or a past life leaks into a quantum healing, or whatever it is. But let's get to our
In a
guests. I
moment.
think we've got Charmaine who came on first, Jason. Hi,
Hi, Charmaine.
Charmaine. I can see part of your face. So,
But I,
Charmaine.
I just came on to say hi.
Oh, that's nice. Do you have a question about quantum healing, or have you had an experience with it, or would you like to have an experience with it?
I have had experiences with it. Yeah. It's
Okay.
amazing. It's again, I agree. You have to believe. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe it's possible. It's
Well,
all
thank you.
about that
Yeah,
faith and knowing.
yeah. Because that brings me to a point, Charmaine. I have
Just
clients who ask me about quantum healing, and I kind of sense that they're not quite ready. And so the process I suggest is that I first give them a reading to assess where they're at and whether they need a past life regression first, because sometimes clearing the past life it's just clearing, layers and layers and layers. And then they're ready for the quantum healing. So that for me allows me to say to them, yes, I can work with you and you're ready and let's go for it. But you're absolutely correct. You've got to believe and be open to the healing and know that you deserve it and you can receive it. So thank you for coming on the show, Charmaine. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
So just by awareness, you
thank
can
you
heal,
so
you
much.
know? And I worked with a guy, and we were going to start doing a past life, and he had a kind of a wool thing on his head, and his wife was sitting beside him. And I started doing a past life going down through the clouds. Now, your left eye is your human side eye because it's on the side of the heart. Your right eye is your spiritual eye. If you're sad or happy about a human experience, you only cry out of the left eye. If you're sad or happy about a spiritual experience, you only cry out of the right eye.
Oh,
So we started going down through the clouds, And all of a sudden I felt my right eye bulging out of my head. And I said, stop. He said, what? I said, man, you're trying to be too spiritual. He says, what do you mean? I says, your right eye is bulging out of your head and your left eye, you don't even want to be human. You're sunken back in your head. I said, you got to balance things out. He said, well, what'll happen if I don't do that? I said, well, you could have a detached retina. You could go blind in the eye. You could have a tumor behind your eye. All of a sudden his wife says, bingo. He took off the thing. He just got out of the hospital for an operation of a tumor behind his right eye.
Wow. Wow. Fantastic.
So this is in a moment. This is
Yeah.
not doing past lives at all.
Yeah.
That's quantum. He wanted to heal, and that was what he needed to hear.
It's all about intention. There's one question I really am dying to ask you. So it's about the Schumann resonance. Do you know about the Schumann resonance, right? The frequency of the Earth's energies, and how the frequency has been increasing dramatically over the last few years, as we know. And what I understand, it's actually affecting the gamma rays of our brain, which is our higher consciousness, I understand. And I've had a vision back in 1986, which was written in my first book, I Think I'm Psychic, where I was told that we would rise in frequency so high that we would rise above disease. There wouldn't be any more cancer or MS or anything like that. And I feel like we're in this in-between place where a lot of people who aren't spiritual or open to this are kind of going a bit squirrely because this energy is it's like a tidal wave of energy coming up like this. But my question to you is, do you think that we can heal ourselves just by allowing this increased vibration to come into our consciousness through meditation or yoga or whatever it is we do? Or do you think people do need this kind of showing the way, this guidance through the quantum healing process?
Well, for one thing, we're pulling information from the universe down. We're pulling information from the earth up. Now, in the center of our chest, in the sternum area, is the core truth of who you really are. It's called the cosmic divine heart. And it goes back to the beginning of time when we were created maybe 1 million years ago, and the Big Bang or whatever. And through all our lifetimes and all the planets we've been on before, and all the lifetimes on Earth, we're manifesting out like this. It's the first time, and not only happening in the last 5 years, manifesting like that too. But often I work with a person, and all of a sudden they'll feel energy coming from the earth, and their feet will start tingling, and then this energy starts to flow up their body, and you can feel it going through their calves, their knees, their thighs, their pelvis, their hips, and all throughout the body until they're right full. And at that moment, what's happened with that is that the earth has healed them, and every cell in their body, even though they may be very wonderfully in tune as far as body, mind, and spirit, their body's been going through a heavy density. And when that happens, every cell in their body changes from a lower frequency to a higher frequency. Okay. Everything is snapped and turned on, sparked on. And then when they finally complete that, they feel full, and they can do that a couple of times, or maybe they only need to do that once. After they do it for a while, practicing it, then all of a sudden they're driving along in their car and they feel the energy healing. But it makes them more in tune with Mother Nature and on the path to ascension. Yeah,
that's beautiful. So they just need that kind of, what do I want to say, protocol to be able to do that, to know about that protocol.
Right.
So, you intimated, I just want to make sure, do we have any guests that want to come on, Jason? Lou? Okay. So we're just going to invite Lou to come on. She maybe has a question for you, Allan. Oh, maybe not.
No questions tonight. Just here to support and say hi to Allan. I'm new to your channel. Hi, Allan. It's lovely hearing you.
Hi. They're soul family. Her and Mark are soul family.
So, Lou, you don't want to share your experience at all?
Well, it wasn't quantum healing for myself. It was more higher self over soul reading from Allan, and he is tremendous and life-changing experience.
That's
so
beautiful.
Again, thanks to Allan and yourself for having him on the air.
Well, thank you, Lou, for joining us. And I've known Allan. I don't think we've actually met in person, have we, Allan? We've always known each other virtually, right? But we've always had this lovely connection back and forth. So we've followed each other over the years. So the other thing you talked about that fascinates me personally is you said removing implants. So are you talking about people who have been abducted and they've got implants, or is this some kind of other implant?
There's many different forms of implants, and the implants can be put in by you or your parents or something like that, and happens on a quantum level, of course. One, I'll give you an example. A lady had a tumor in her pineal gland, and your pineal gland is your most spiritual organ. And what happened was we asked, like, who put it there? She said, I did. And we said, why? She said, because I'm moving too far spiritually ahead, and I might lose my husband. So she actually, she put this implant on her pineal gland to slow her spiritual journey down.
Wow.
And of course, the body can feel this vibrating every time it tries to stop something.
Yes.
And it formed a tumor around that. And she had 8 months to live, and her blood was just off the charts. So we said, do you want, like you said, do you want to heal? And she said, yes. And I said, do you want to live? Yes. And so we got her to remove the implant by, taking her hand, going in etheric fingers and white light and putting it into the white light in front of her, taking it out. And she did that. And then she went about 2 weeks later for a scan and everything like that. The tumor was completely gone and her blood was back to normal.
Wow. So for those who don't
So
know where, sorry. For those who don't know
many,
you go.
Go for it. No, you're the okay. Yeah, well, there's many different types of implants, and you can put them in yourself. One lady had put an implant in her stomach area around her uterus because her father, which she worshipped him when she was a child, and then he got to be an alcoholic and a drug addict, and he turned into a monster. She said, I never want any kid to go through that, so she refused to have any kids. So then she had put an implant there to stop herself getting pregnant. And so we removed that implant, and within a couple of months, she was pregnant.
Wow. Interesting. So interesting. I might be sending some of my clients to you then. I mean, I'm not often able to identify if somebody comes to me and says that they want to get pregnant and they're not getting pregnant, and they're like, how some women are just really, I gotta have a baby. So I have done past life regressions and taken them back to when they've been, actually one girl turned out she was a prostitute in 1800s in London. And of course had to go for horrendous abortions. So she wanted really, she had a very deep-seated fear of being pregnant because she had a lot of associations with that. So I can clear that kind of thing. But if I ever find that I get stuck with somebody, I will definitely send them to you and see what you can do.
Thank you so much.
So when you talk about, I think you said that, when you do quantum healings, you get into other dimensions. So what do you mean by those getting into those other dimensions? Because my mind goes one place, you might be talking about something else.
Well, when you start to do a past life, you maybe go down through the clouds and you can end up in another dimension.
Yes.
Like I've seen 677 different alien species and home planets.
Wow.
That's where a person will start to do a past life, end up on their home planet, find out why they hate Earth, why they're having a rough time of it, and then they find their mission and purpose. They come back and say, okay, it's okay to be here now. But you can go into different dimensions out into space. You can go back to your home planet, but you can also see yourself as a being in space on another dimension. And with that, you look and you see yourself as energy, and you're a female energy, let's say. And then you say, do you have a male energy with it? Yeah, there's a male energy attached to me. Okay, how does he help you? Well, he is my motivator. My protector and everything. I said, well, what man in your life, physical man in your life, does that for you? My husband or my boyfriend. And when you see yourself as energy out in space, and the other half of you is male and female, and it's your husband or whatever, he's definitely your twin flame. He's definitely the other half of you. You cannot dispute that at all. And Catherine is my twin flame, and usually the twin flame is opposite of you. So Catherine's learning all the things I would never learn. I'm learning all the things she would never learn. So we get together in spirit as one, we learn twice as much. Beautiful. What's the sense of learning the same thing?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, on my show next week, you'll have to tune in because I'm talking about soulmates and twin flames. And it's a very kind of cursory glance at it. But, I'd be happy to have both of you on a future show, and we can really go into depth into that, because that's always a big topic, as you know. How long does, I mean, I'm sure the processes are different, but how long does a process of quantum healing take with you normally with a client?
Well, of course, it all depends on the situation, and sometimes it's going to be cleared up really quick because it's just something easy, or sometimes it's very, very deep, as you know, and you have to spend some really long time with them to do it properly. And so it can be just meeting with somebody and sitting down and talking about their lives. Just like we deal with walk-ins. In other words, partial walk-ins. I was a partial walk-in from the time I was 9 years old till I was 57. And that's where, you have a near-death experience, and all of a sudden, your soul cries out for help, and a more highly evolved being comes in, and you move to the left-hand side of your body, and this one comes into the right-hand side of the body or whatever. And then all of a sudden you have two past lives. When you do past lives, you have the walk-in past lives and your past lives.
Yes.
And so, so then you can get into the depth of that. You go back and see yourself as a healer. But then things are happening on the planet right now that are very, very similar to past lives, but they're actually happening in the moment. So that's quantum healing that way.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people don't know what walk-ins are, Allan. And I have to laugh when you say that, because I saw a sign on a barber shop last week and it said walk-ins welcome. And I thought, I got to take a photograph of that. And I put it on social media and I said, do you ever have a day when you just want to leave the planet and have somebody else take over? Well, that's what a walk-in is, basically, sometimes in your life. But you've made the contract with that walk-in, right? You've made a contract with that soul to come and take over. Sorry?
I actually let it go. Yeah, after a year and a half with Catherine, I was in a safe place for the first time in my life, in a log home in the woods with no neighbors, and she had no agenda, and the walk-in left. And I was frantic because I thought that was my sense of identity. Because it's usually a more highly evolved spiritual being that's in that part. It can be in the front or the back or the left or the right. And so I started heading towards the back door, and Catherine started panicking. He said, "What's the matter?" I said, "I'm going to drive that rental car we have into a tree." And I would have, because I thought, and she said, "Well, let the walk-in go." I said, "No." She says, "Let it go." So she sat on me. I wouldn't hurt her, but I was shaking. And finally I let it go. And I took over my whole body, and everything was fine.
Wow. And
then about a month later, a lady comes and said, for the last 10 years, my right-hand side's been empty. She had a near-death experience. A walk-in had come into her right-hand side, but it had left. Mm-hmm. And so we got to take over her whole body, and everything was fine.
Mm-hmm. Because walk-ins aren't always, for your highest good, what I've understood is that there can be more negative walk-ins than the original spirit.
Well, that's more of a possession.
I agree with you. Yeah. I agree with you. But there's, there have been some subtle. I've actually seen that in somebody I was very close to, and it wasn't actually possession, but it was a much more negative person. But I think it was a combination of factors as well. It was intergenerational trauma and other stuff going on. So when you meet a client and they say, "Oh, I want to come for a quantum healing," do you qualify them at all, or do you just say, "Hey, if you're asking, come on down and we'll do it"?
Yes, we just sort of start doing that, and we tune into the person. Catherine and I often work as a team before we start, and tune into the person. There could be a person that's passed that had some ailment. They go drink, gamble. Maybe they had a smoking addiction or something. And if that person's in between here and the light, and they're hanging around that person, that can affect the person. And it's very hard to get rid of an addiction unless we free that person to the light. Yeah. So Catherine is very good at tuning in, and then I tune into that person, that spirit, and then we help it to the light. And then all of a sudden, whatever that issue was is gone.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Allan. I don't know if we have anybody else that wanted to talk with you, so we're good. So I understand, I took a look at the picture of your retreat. So can people stay on this retreat, or is it just they come for the treatment and then they leave?
We do have a bed and breakfast concept for people doing long distance, yes.
Wow.
And most people just come for the day. Okay. And that afternoon or something.
Yeah. Well, I want to come out and see you and Catherine.
That would be wonderful. You're welcome to stay as long as you want. And
we talk for days. We talk for days.
Yeah.
So if people want to get a hold of you, Allan, what's the best way? Is it the website, Crystal Healing? What is it? Crystal Healing?
Probably through
Crystal.
my email would be the best. It's
Okay.
pastlife.allan. So pastlife, one word, dot Allan, ALAN, at on.aibn.com.
Okay.
Or you can call us at 613-479-0299.
Yeah. And your details are in the show notes below. So if anybody watching the show watches it later, they can go and find you for sure.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can't text. It's a landline, so we can't text. But
Oh, okay. Good to know. Okay. Well, thank you so much. We're going to have you on again, and we're going to talk about all those other things you do. And I'm just going to let you go. I'm sure you're very tired, and you can go and rest now. And we'll talk soon. Okay.
you've
Take
been a
care.
gracious host. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Allan is definitely a very, very interesting person. And his website is crystalearthhealingspa.com if you prefer to find him through that. Thank you also to all our viewers and for people who came on the show, Allan's fan club. That's so nice to have fans and people who love you for the work that you do. If you want more positivity in your life, it's all happening on my website, natasharosewood.com. You can book a private reading, a quantum healing, a past life regression, and or you can buy one or all of my books. You can subscribe to my inspirational newsletter where I give tips on how not just to survive, but thrive in this life. You can watch previous shows of It's a New Day. There's all kinds of interesting information and great healers on these shows. Find out how you can come on the show, either as an expert and or a guest, and you can follow me on social media. So thank you so much. Next week is Valentine's Day, and we'll be talking all about love and how to find the one. We'll be giving you tips on how to do that. This show is for you, for your hope, healing, and happiness. If you like this content, please share the link, like and subscribe so we can empower other people as well. In the meantime, remember, it is a new day. You can think new thoughts, feel new feelings for a brighter now. Thank you. Namaste.
It's a new day for hope, healing, and happiness with Natasha J. Rosewood.